Good morning or good afternoon. Welcome to yet another edition of Social Studies, Unit 1, Lesson 3, Day 1. And yes, I do have another dog toy. I just thought that would be fun. We're going to talk about a few things after I hit the music. Get that off a second. We will do more music later. I want to connect back to something. A few lessons ago, I want to say, we were talking about this Michelle girl. And the main character was Michelle. She lived in Brooklyn. And I want to review some things about her community. I better move my globe here. In her community, some things that she was telling us was in Brooklyn, there are places to have fun. There are lots of things to see and do. And there were also different ways to get around, transportation. She had lots of places to get food to eat. There were restaurants, there were carts, there were farmers markets, and there were plenty of places for kids to play and have fun. There were businesses and all those things. And so now I got to ask you a question. Let me just put Michelle back up here. Do you think communities help people meet their basic needs? I thought we talked about that once. Let's review what basic needs are. Basic needs are things that people need in order to live. The three examples were food, clothing, and shelter. And I'm saying that communities do help us meet our basic needs. Now, that community is kind of a big word. Let's review what a community is. A community, according to card 4, is a place where people live, work, and play together. Examples: communities help families meet their basic needs. So can we just mirror words again about communities? Mirror words. Communities are places where people live, work, and play. So you live in a community too, in a neighborhood. In our book here, Michelle, they were talking about a big part of a city here. She's like in New York City, and it's separated into different sections, and her section is called Brooklyn, and she's living in the city of New York. One thing about where she lives is it is in a special place that you can actually find on a map. I did talk earlier that New York can be found in a city in the country of the United States, and you can actually find the part of New York City that is called Brooklyn. And so that is a special place on a map. If you were to get a map of Michigan, you could find Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids is a pretty big city too. All righty. Let's see what else we have. So examples where people live in a community, we talked about kind of shelters. They could be houses, apartments, and your houses and apartments are probably in places called neighborhoods. And where do you play? We have parks. Some places have beaches. Sometimes you have amusement parks. There's playgrounds. Zoos could be a place to have fun. You could even go to a business that has like movies or games to play. Lots of places to have fun. Sometimes people used to go to these jump house places. I forgot what the names of them, but when kids had birthday parties, they'd say, "Oh, I went to this jump house," or something like that. We do work in many different places too. I happen to work at a school. You go to school to learn at the same place. So we come to this building for different reasons. There's also offices and stores. So all those things are found in communities. And remember, so we have buildings and space where you can live, work, and have fun. I want to read you a story called A Walk in Michelle's Community. Michelle's community is going to be a smaller place than Brooklyn. It's going to be just a tiny neighborhood area. And to help make it a little bit more fun, I made some little sticks with pictures so you can follow my story. I have some music to play, and I'm hoping it's not too loud, but just kind of some music here. I'll turn it down a little bit of jazz. Here's my story. Listen carefully, and it's called A Walk in Michelle's Community. Michelle went for a walk in her community. As she went down her street, she saw Officer Clark, there's Officer Clark, giving a speeding ticket. The driver had been going too fast in the neighborhood. She smiled at Officer Clark and went on. At the corner of her road, she saw a man high up in the air above the street. He was fixing a traffic light. He waved down at her and she waved back. This kind of a truck would be called a cherry picker. Suddenly, 2 fire trucks went zooming by. Zoom. Oops, I gotta get that lower. There goes my zooming fire truck. They zoomed by Michelle on their way to a fire. She watched the cars move out of their way, which is one reason to make sure your music isn't too loud in your car. You got to be able to hear those sirens so that you can pull over safely so emergency vehicles can go to where they got to go fast. She came to a park and she decided to take a rest there. We said a park is a place to have fun. She sat down on the bench. 2 community workers were busy near her. One was sweeping up glass from a broken bottle. The other was busy with a tool fixing a broken swing. She watched them for a while, then she left for home. She stopped by once to buy an ice cream, and there's our ice cream truck. Isn't that like the best sound to hear in the summer when the ice cream truck's coming? Mom, can I have $1? So that's the end of our little story here. So what were some things that happened in her walk? We saw there was an officer giving a speeding ticket. The other thing that happened was we saw someone high up in a cherry picker there fixing a traffic light. Well, why would they fix a traffic light? Well, if we don't have traffic lights, is that really safe for people and cars and other vehicles to move around? So the traffic lights help us stay safe. And also, isn't Officer Clark doing things to keep us safe too? If people are allowed to go really fast in neighborhoods, that's not safe for people walking around. Usually the speed limit in a neighborhood is 25 miles an hour. Why do you go so slow? If someone suddenly walks in front of the road, I can stop really fast. And Officer Clark wants to make sure that the roads are safe. The worker wants to make sure that the lights work for the cars. What else was something that happened? Well, we had the fire truck went zooming by for a fire. Somebody needed help right away. Now, sometimes fire trucks go to other emergencies too. They're called first responders. You dial 911 if someone's hurt or something like that. A lot of times a fire truck will come along with an ambulance. The last thing that happened was, I don't have a picture for it, but someone was fixing a swing. I have a little graphic organizer because I guess my central question is this: why do people form governments? Governments are organizations where they hire people to do things for us. Like, for example, a local government would have police, they would have people who can fix things for us, and also first responders as well. Let's look at our chart 1 second. So communities have places where people can work and play, and that's why we live in communities. So we have places where we can get our basic needs met, we can live there, and we can work there. Communities help keep people safe. Communities help people meet their basic needs. That is why most people want to live in communities, because, like I said a few lessons ago, Mr. Paul doesn't make his own clothes. He doesn't grow his own food, and he doesn't build his own shelters. I depend on other people in the community to do that for me. I do my job so that I can buy things that I need that's offered by my community. And let's see what else we have. I think that's what I have for right now. It might be interesting if I could get you folks to make maybe a book or something like that. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm wondering if you could get a piece of paper and write 3 things that communities do for us. Communities, like if you made a page here, you could say, communities have places where people live, work, and play. Could you just draw a picture of communities, of something in your community where people can live, work, and play? You could draw a house or you could draw a business. So you could do that. The second page that you could do is you could write down communities help people meet their basic needs. Food, clothing, and shelter. So you could draw, once again, a house or some food. Maybe you could draw a restaurant. The last thing that you would want to draw is communities help keep people safe. Maybe you could draw a fire truck, you could draw a policeman, you could draw someone working and fixing something. So let me just review quickly what I'm hoping you can do. I'm hoping on some paper you can write 3 sentences. Communities, one is communities have places where people live, work, and play. And you could just draw one of those things. The second sentence is communities help people meet their basic needs. You could draw a place where people can get food, buy clothes. Page 3, communities help keep people safe. You could draw some workers in a community helping somebody. You could draw a crossing guard, like helping kids across the schools. You could draw an ambulance, something like that. So I'm hoping that's something that you can do today, is that you can draw those things. Let's say that you're at home and you don't have some paper right now. Can you tell somebody at home where people can live, work, and play in a community, where people can get their basic needs met, and also how communities keep us safe? So I guess I'm changing this a little bit. You can either talk about this or draw and write about this. I have a feeling if you're in Mr. Paul's class, you're going to do some writing though. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you later. There's my thumb. I'm going to turn off the video. Bye-bye.